FAQ, 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 FAQ. What's up guys, Andrew Baena here, and it is a little bit late, but it's still that time for the FAQ video of the week. Apologies for being a little late with this one and sort of a lack of uploads lately. I have been insanely busy. I'm actually almost excited for summer to be over because every weekend has been crazy busy and I have not had time to do nearly as much as I have wanted to do. So I apologize for that, but I think we're back to normal for the rest of the time from now on, hopefully, maybe. Recently I was doing a bunch of video shoots for a solo EP, so I was shooting a music video for that, and then I was doing a guest guitar lesson on guitarlessons.com, which will be up in a couple months. And then I was helping a friend of mine film a pretty big band that I can't really talk about. So yeah, lots of stuff going on, lots of weddings I've been to, just very, very busy. Very tired, but I'm gonna do another FAQ for you guys anyways. This one might be a little bit shorter, but I figured you guys would maybe want to see it, so we're gonna do it anyways. Before we start, as always, I got a few plugs to make. If you're ever interested in supporting me farther than watching my YouTube videos, go check out my Patreon page. There are all the names of my beautiful Patreon members on the screen at this point in time. You can get a few things there. You can either donate to me, you can get audio downloads, you can get a shout out on the screen, or you can get the audio stems for pretty much all of my videos. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, go check out my Patreon, once again linked in the description below. Secondly, if you're interested in asking me questions for these FAQ videos, you can do it in two ways. Number one, comment on this video and I'll pick some of them. Number two, go join my Discord server, which is also linked in the description below, and ask on the FAQ submissions channel, because I pick a lot from there as well. So with all that out of the way, let's get on to the questions. Question number one comes from Alan Harrisonis, and he says, are you an ass man or tits guy? I say, why not both personally, but if I absolutely have to choose, I think I would have to go with ass. Next question comes from Juans on Discord, and he says, do you think basses are still important in very low-tuned bands? Yes, I definitely think basses are still important in low-tuned bands. That might sound kind of ironic because we don't have a bassist in Galactic Pegasus, but we do still backtrack our bass for the same effect. Basically, your bass guitar does not fit in the same frequency range as your guitar, so it's very important to have that low end, in my opinion. An 8-string guitar simply will not have enough bass to cover that frequency range, unless you're doing something crazy like Animals as Leaders, where I guess they don't really need a bassist, but for like a traditional like gent or deathcore or metalcore band, even if you're tuned very low, definitely have a bassist, or definitely at least have bass in your backing tracks. Next question comes from Sell Me on Craigslist on YouTube. That's a weird sentence. He says, will you do the Beatles down-tuned? Probably not, because I feel like that would be very strange, but if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know. I did do a Beatles riff tuned down in an upcoming guest feature I did on guitarlessons.com, so I'll be sure to send that over to you guys when that is up. It was definitely a very weird video that I had to make for them. Next question comes from Mary Jane Daniel Music, and they say, best band that was the worst live. I really hate to say this, and I never say this in terms of like trying to hate on a band. One of my favorite albums of 2018 was Silent Planet's latest album, and I absolutely love Silent Planet. They're one of my favorite bands. I think they release consistently amazing albums and songs. However, I saw them live recently, and yeah, it was not good. I don't know if something was going on with the vocalists or what, but everything like instrumentally was great, but both the singer and the screamer just did not sound that great to me. Again, no hate. Hopefully that was just an off day and that they're usually better than that. I don't really know, because that was my only time seeing them. And regardless of if they weren't so great live when I saw them, I still love that band and I will still support them wholeheartedly. Next question comes from Flash1228, and he says, your gent busking video was what brought me to your channel. Any chance you'll do more busking? So I have tried twice in the past year to do a busking video, and both times it has failed miserably. So I don't know if busking will just be like a one-time thing. I hope not. I've been trying to make it happen. I was gonna do one around Christmas time where I was gonna like annoy Christmas shoppers with metal, and I thought it was such a good idea, but unfortunately my videographer was not free at all in December on the same day as I was free, so we couldn't make it happen. And then recently I actually fully took everything to go do a busking video, and I was gonna do it at Comic-Con, or like a Vancouver Comic-Con. And I had everything ready. I had like a full cosplay costume, which looked ridiculous. had my portable amp, had everything ready to go. We got there, and there was like 5 people at this convention, so I was like, okay, well, this is gonna be a stupid video because there's not gonna be any reactions because there's no one here. So unfortunately, we canceled that one as well. I've been keeping an eye out and trying to think of different ways to do a busking video so I don't do exactly the same thing I've already done. So I definitely want to do more, but it's pretty stressful, man. Like, it takes a lot of courage to work up and go do that shit in public. And, you know, I have to work for like months to finally convince myself to do it again. And then we go, and then the video fails, and we're like, and then I don't even want to think about it for months after that. Next up comes from Meshuggah1987, and he says, when are you going to make Cannibal Corpse Tune Down? This is a question that Meshuggah1987 has asked me many, many times, and as I keep saying, it's in progress. You know, everything takes time. I have everything, I think, composed or like laid out as to what I want to do. I just haven't had time to record it, but I will do Cannibal Corpse Tune Down at some point in the near future, so just relax, hold on, I got you, man. Next question comes from Socks on Discord, and he says, 00 Unicorn, Wing, or Iron-Blooded Orphans. He is referring to Gundam, the Gundam series being 00, Unicorn, Wing, or whatever. So this might be kind of a dirty little secret of mine, but I really like building Gundam model kits, but I don't really know anything about the show. I watched Gundam Wing when I was like, 6 years old when that came out in Canada. And I liked it because there was cool robot fights, but I was 6 years old, so I certainly did not understand what the storyline actually was. And then same thing with Gundam Seed was like when I was like 8, 9, 10 or something like that. Same thing, cool robot fights. It was all about like politics. Had no idea what was going on. Just watched for the anime titties and the giant robot fights. So yeah, I tried watching Unicorn recently because I was like, I should probably watch Gundam if I have all these model kits. I should maybe like know something more about it. And yeah, I didn't really like Unicorn at all. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try and rewatch Gundam Wing or something like that. But yeah, I honestly, I just like the model kits more than the actual anime, so sorry if that's a cardinal sin of Gundam community guidelines. Next question comes from Low Budget Misha Mansour on Discord, and he says, you mentioned that out of the Helix, Axifex, and Kemper, you liked the Kemper the best, but don't you just use Neural DSP plugins for like 90% of your stuff anyways? Yeah, so I recently borrowed an Axifex 2 from my friend Paul Oz, shout out to him. You might have seen it on my desk in a couple of my past videos. I just got my Kemper back on Friday, so I'm happy to have it back. And yeah, I made like a Facebook post or Instagram post or whatever, I guess, saying that out of the 3 units I've had now, which is the Axifex, the Kemper, and the Helix LT, I liked the Kemper the best because it sounded the best. I liked the Helix the second best, and then I liked the Axifex the least. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion on those modeling things, I guess you could call them. So I think that the Kemper definitely sounds the best. The Helix doesn't sound as good, but honestly the convenience of it and the user interface are just so good and so easy to use that is way more valuable in my opinion than being like slightly worse sounding. For that ease of use is by far more worth it. And then the Axifex, the Axifex sounds good, but the menu system is so fucking confusing, and like I felt like, in the 2 or 3 weeks that I had it, I like barely understood what I was doing. So I don't know, I just wasn't really super pumped on the Axifex personally, so I liked the other 2 more. But yeah, as Low Budget Misha Mansour was saying, I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because all I'm really using the Kemper for is a hugely glorified DI box, and I'm just recording DIs and then reamping with Neural DSP plugins anyways, like the Archetype Plini or the Fortin Nameless Suite, or for my bass I use like the Parallax, whatever. Yeah, so I mean, for recording purposes, I don't actually use the Kemper, which I know a lot of people think is really weird, but I'm just saying, like, out of the 3 units, I like the Kemper the most, but I still prefer to use the plugins because they are just the most convenient for me. Next question comes from Luxa777, and they ask, in your opinion, from the odd time signatures, which is the coolest, and do you have any songs written using it? I don't have any favorite time signatures that jump to mind immediately, but I do know that I definitely wrote some Galactic Pegasus songs that are based off of like a 5/4 feel. I really like going from like 5/4 to 4/4 to have that weird like snare displacement, and what that means is like usually the snare is on every 3. So in a standard 4/4 beat, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But then if you're doing 5/4, it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3. You know, I can't even count it like orally, but basically the snare will go from like 3 to 2 to 1 to 4 to 3. So you would have to repeat a 5/4 measure, what is that, like 4 or 5 times to get the snare back on the 3. If that makes any sense. Very confusing, but yeah, 5/4 is sweet. I guess that's pretty much what I'm trying to say. 5/4 and 3/4, nothing too crazy, but those ones are always a lot of fun to write in. Alright, and last but not least, we got a question from Maximum Derpson on Discord, and he says, what do you use for synths / piano or other instruments for your songs? So for all of my synth and piano and choir effects that I use in my songs, which I don't use very often, but when I do, I use a plugin called Nexus. I've used that for probably 4+ years now, and honestly I don't know too much about synths. I just basically cycle through the presets until I find one that I like. But Nexus has a shit ton of presets and they all pretty much sound good. And Nexus is also another local company to me. I think they're located in like Langley, which is, you know, 10 minutes from me. So I don't know, it's also kind of cool to support a local company. And I know a lot of big name like DJs use it, so yeah, I don't know, it sounds pretty awesome. Alright guys, that'll do it for this video. This is a short one. Again, sorry about the delay and sorry about slightly less videos than usual lately. I've just been so busy, so exhausted, but I promise I'll be getting back to normal ASAP. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below or on my Discord server. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.